amounts to a kind of rebirth.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel has released more information on Sadie Sink's new version of Jean Grey during Spider-Man Brand New Day, how her version is going to be different from Famke Janssen's and Sophie Turner's versions of Jean Grey from the X-Men movies, and what Marvel plans to do with Sadie Sink in the upcoming movies after this going forward into Marvel Phase 7. This also makes her the next big mutant inside the MCU that we know about before Avengers Doomsday when all the classic X-Men come back. I know there's still a ton of questions about her because Marvel was hiding her so much in that Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. It's just the first trailer. We'll see more of her in the next couple of trailers. Based on how they're changing the way they visualize her powers on screen, there were a couple of scenes in that first teaser that Marvel purposefully edited out, removing things in order to hide important details, giving away more about her character. So we'll explain those too, because Marvel lies like this in trailers all the time, in very misleading ways portraying things to hide stuff they think will give away big plot or big twists. We see what you're doing, Marvel. We see what you're doing. The first big thing are the misleading trailer edits and how Marvel is changing the way they visualize Jean Grey's powers in the MCU. There's this one scene in particular during the trailer when the tank crashes into the damage control prison. Spider-Man opens the hatch to reveal just a regular tiny old woman off the streets had been piloting it through the whole chase through the streets earlier in the movie, which is also part of the Punisher scenes where they battle back and forth. All that is going down while Spider-Man is trying to chase the tank down to stop it, thinking that some villain has stolen the tank and is threatening a whole bunch of people, so of course he wants to stop it. Only to find that it crashes into the damage control prison, and it's the old lady who's inside it, who seemingly has no idea what's going on. Like, she looks very confused when Spider-Man sees her, right after this special sound effect plays, kind of like a whooshing, popping sound. Notice the way the guards behind Spider-Man play it, and he whips his head around, and it looks like he's seeing something jump from the old lady's mind to the guard's mind as he whips his head back and forth. Then it happens again with him whipping his head and it jumping to another level in the catwalk in the other person's mind who also whips their head back and forth. Each time the camera whipping up like you're in Spider-Man's perspective and he's just watching something jump from mind to mind, and we'll see it on screen, but Marvel has removed the visual effect on the trailer footage so that you don't know what's actually happening.
Psychic echoes. This much death can stain a place.
I think this is just a classic example of Marvel editing the trailer down to remove visual effects to show a person jumping from mind to mind, like an actual visual effect, because if you saw it, it would be a dead giveaway for Sadie Sink Jean Grey powers and abilities. Because here's the next big thing. One of the ways Marvel is changing Jean Grey for the MCU Sadie Sink's version is her powers will look more like they do in X-Men 97 with that version, the blue flare on screen. In the way down the road, if they do another Phoenix arc, another Dark Phoenix from the comics at some point, they would also get a massive visual upgrade, like a big glow up to the way they visualize her powers from Sophie Turner's Phoenix in Famke Janssen's Phoenix form. And it's meant to be Marvel giving their new main Jean Grey of the MCU the same type of glow-up that they did for Sue Storm in the new Fantastic Four movie with the way her powers work. Notice when she's using her powers in either big or small casual ways, like more practical ways, there's way more elaborate visual effects component to them, so you can see when she's using them, as opposed to Jessica Alba's Sue Storm. She had some visual components to her powers where they visualized it, but the new Sue Storms are a way bigger visual effect. That is mostly a design choice, and obviously because special effects technology, visual effects technology have advanced so much since they made those older movies, like the older X-Men movies now and the older Fantastic Four movies. This is also why Marvel movies are so expensive, because the visual effects cost so much and there are so many visual effects. So the idea is in Spider-Man Brand New Day, we're going to see like a teaser for this, and it'll just become more elaborate by the time we get to the new X-Men movies in Marvel Phase 7 when she's using her powers again. We're also going to be getting X-Men 97 Season 2 episodes later this year. They haven't said exactly when, but we'll be getting a bunch of Jean Grey just in general this year. So if you're a big Jean Grey fan, you're going to be eating good this year. One of the other big ways it seems like they're changing her character from previous versions is based on the trailer footage so far. They're implying she comes from another universe, but Marvel hasn't totally clarified how that's going to work, so there's still a couple ways to explain where she actually comes from and why we're only just meeting her now and which X-Men team is her original X-Men team, or if she was ever on an X-Men team before she wound up in the MCU. Also, really big question, why is she working with Punisher in the movie? Because that's supposedly a big plot point. When Spider-Man runs into her for the first time, she is working with the Punisher, or she has been working with the Punisher. Why is Jean Grey of the X-Men working with the Punisher? Just seems like a weird combination. Given that she's Jean Grey, she's a telepath, she might have read Punisher's mind and just shown him what happened to her using her powers, how she wound up in the 616 universe, to make him understand why she needs his help, because she's also seemingly trying to run from Damage Control, because we see them capture her during the movie. Of course, Damage Control will be trying to round up as many mutants that they deem as dangerous vigilantes with powers they can't control. Just feels like classic Damage Control. They were already kind of doing this during the Ms. Marvel series, Damage Control trying to go after her at a certain point, and she is a mutant in the MCU.
And you know what that means? Yes, that means that you're relieved of your duty. A union's coming to fix your mess. Get out of there, now.
Personally, I cannot imagine Punisher would be very happy about having someone reading his mind, but I am sure there will be jokes about her telepathy in the movie. And you remember that Punisher Netflix Season 2 was all about him protecting that younger girl. Now it just happens to be a younger girl who has crazy OP powers. But I also imagine this is how she can learn Spider-Man is Peter Parker under the mask without him telling her. We also see what looks like a reverse shot of her from behind with her raising her arms up. This could also be of a scene of Spider-Man meeting her, but we'll see. My other early theory here, this is also a really easy way to explain why Bruce Banner goes back into Savage Hulk form again in the movie. She just enters his mind, makes him remove the Gamma device blocking his transformations, so it's a cool use of her powers, mind controlling the Hulk for a second. Banner is still weak to magic and telepathy. That's why he doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like, what's your name again in the trailer where he's asking him, like, what are you doing in my class? Here's the thing though, magic doesn't work on the Hulk the same way, and he's not completely immune to mind control, but he is resistant to mind control. Like his mind is stronger than Banner's mind. So it wouldn't be hard for Jean Grey to push Banner over the edge, forcing his transformation, but then jumping out of his mind and letting Hulk just go full smash until Spider-Man and anyone else that happens to be there around him to get him to calm down again and transform back to Banner form. There are also a couple behind-the-scenes shots of Banner covered up like in a little hoodie with cuts all over his face, seemingly after he transforms back into Banner form. My assumption there is that there's just like a minor fight that Spider-Man gets into with Savage Hulk, but eventually gets him to calm down. Like, sun's getting real low, buddy, and he transforms back into Banner. Maybe Sadie Sink's Jean Grey is also able to help out with that too, like she's able to calm his mind down using her telepathy, which feels like another creative use of her powers. My early theory, just based on the trailer footage that we've seen so far and some of the behind-the-scenes footage, Sadie Sink's Jean Grey is working with the Punisher. Somehow she got stuck on this MCU version of Earth, 616 universe. Maybe it has something to do with the incursions or with the spells in No Way Home, probably leading up to Avengers Doomsday Secret Wars related stuff. And at some point, she is captured by Damage Control. This is her on a cart being taken away by Damage Control, and we see her in the prison, like we see her wrists all tied up. Then while she's in this prison, she tries to rescue herself with the help of the Punisher, using telepathy to remote pilot the tank and break herself out, using everyone else there. A creative use of her powers we haven't seen on screen before. And the reason why the hand ninjas are also in this Damage Control prison, or in this prison in general, is maybe because they're also trying to capture Sadie Sink's Jean Grey. My early theory is the reason why the Hand are here is because they were hired by the main villain of the movie, which might wind up being the Jackal, because there are a couple Jackal Easter eggs in the actual trailer. Like we see the Jackal beer here, like it's written here on the logo with the Jackal logo. Maybe Spider-Man drinks some of his beer and that's what causes his transformation here too. Maybe that has something to do with like he poisons him in some way.
It's terrible! Nobody drink the beer! The beer has gone bad!
But remember, the Jackal in the comics, whole thing is genetic experimentation, so maybe he just learns about Sadie Sink Jean Grey's powers and wants to use some of her DNA to experiment on it too, and that's why he would want to get his hands on her. But he's also doing this with other people around the MCU too, just trying to experiment with DNA, combining them Mr. Sinister style to try and create somebody more powerful being. I did a much bigger video on the Jackal a little while ago, so I'll link it down in the description below, just talking about how he might fit into the movie and the future of the MCU just in general, just talking about the story of the movie. But at some point, Spider-Man gets caught up in this whole back and forth chase along the way while he's busy being friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and then winds up helping her. And also, when it was reported that Spider-Man in Avengers Doomsday would not be Tom Holland's version, it would be Tobey Maguire, streets were saying it was because Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man would be going off somewhere doing something important on a mission, something else while Doomsday is going down. Now I kind of think, based on all these different things happening in this movie with Sadie Sink, Jean Grey, that this other secret mission that he's on, busy with, happens to do with Sadie Sink's Jean Grey character. Now that we're heading into Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, this also reminds me of the movie that Sadie Sink did with Eric Bana, because people have asked, will he come back as a version of the Hulk in Secret Wars? I don't know if he's coming back from Ang Lee's version of the Hulk, or if they're even going to bring Edward Norton back in Secret Wars, but there's always the possibility. And here's the next really important detail that Marvel just revealed. Sadie Sink signed a contract with them for 5 movies and an option for TV shows. So those 5 movies are probably Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Secret Wars, and a trilogy of new X-Men movies. The first one is releasing in 2028. We know all about that at the beginning of Marvel Phase 7, right after Secret Wars. So her contract kind of implies she might not show up in Avengers Doomsday, and they might just wait till Secret Wars to bring her back. But her contract having 5 movies on it usually just means that Marvel can put her in any 5 movies that they want. They usually don't lock actors down to every single specific movie when they have multiple films on their contracts, unless it's only for like 1 or 2 movies. Based on how fast Marvel is going now with all the movies, like how fast they get them out, it'll take them at least till 2035, 2036 to do a trilogy of new X-Men movies. So that's like 10 years out. A lot can change in 10 years. So she could wind up popping in to other people's movies too, not just X-Men movies after Secret Wars. Also kind of sounds like they want to put her on a TV show and a couple cameos too. We'll get like some X-Men based TV shows during Marvel Phase 7. Makes sense. There's going to be so much X-Men stuff happening during Marvel Phase 7. I definitely think that Marvel wants to do an X-Mansion-based TV show with Xavier's school and a bunch of younger kids, and that'll be sort of like their Harry Potter Hogwarts inside the MCU. Like the X-Mansion will be their version of Hogwarts.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So you can see how they're giving Sadie Sink's Jean Grey the Black Panther treatment that they did during Civil War, introducing his big character in someone else's movie, then he goes on to his own solo movie. It just so happens that her big solo movie isn't technically a solo movie, it's the X-Men movies and their team-based movies. She is meant to be the main version of Jean Grey in the MCU going forward, but the real question now is who are the other X-Men actors going to be on that team going forward, like the core X-Men characters? We know Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is going to be like the only main version of Wolverine for a good long while, but Kevin Feige has already said they're going to recast an MCU version of Wolverine with a younger actor at some point, so it's not going to all be on Hugh Jackman till he's 90, given all the Deadpool jokes. But we'll have a new Cyclops, new Nightcrawler, Professor X, new Magneto. There's all the villains too. Mr. Sinister is supposed to be in this new X-Men movie in live action they're making. They almost did him a couple times in the Fox era X-Men movies in live action. John Hamm was the last person who almost played him during the New Mutants movie. He was also going to be the main villain of the Channing Tatum Gambit movie that got canceled. He almost made a name for himself. Everybody post all your Sadie Sink theories in the comments below and let me know what you want them to do with her character going forward, or if there's any specific footage that you spotted in the trailers that I haven't talked about in the video. What'll happen is we'll get more teasers and trailers for the movie in the next couple of months, more clues about her character, more footage. We're also in the middle of Daredevil Born Again episodes. My episodes 2 and 3 video will post next week after they release it. That is meant to take place before the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I've already done a trailer video for those next episodes. Click here for that, and click here for all my Spider-Man Brand New Day videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.